Robert Bosley, SLAM math teacher at Santee Education Complex. So there's two big benefits for our students. First, of course, is just getting the college credit. Getting Cal State credit, which is great for our students. But the second one is also getting them exempt from the math placement test. This is a test that has become a huge burden to a lot of our students. For whatever reasons, they don't tend to do very well and have to take these remedial classes their first year of college, which ends up being a huge roadblock and deterrent to a lot of our students. The biggest advice that I can give is set aside time to work with the partnership teacher. Whether you're the college professor or you're the high school teacher, sit down and get to know each other. Get to know each other's in and outs of how you teach, kind of work out how you're going to co-teach so it's a good, solid partnership from the very beginning. Had an extremely bright student that ended up leaving high school, going to a four-year college. Had to do two of the intervention classes, two of the math interventions, one of the English interventions. And he got very frustrated, and he ended up failing out of college or dropping out of college. He came back to me later that year saying that how disappointed he was in high school because the high school had prepared him for two-year college, had not prepared him for a four-year college. And he was very frustrated. And this, it was a kick in the gut to me because this was one of my students. This is one of the students that I connected with and that I had helped get into college and I really expected and wanted to see succeed. So it was an eye-opener to me about how we as a school and we as a system needs to do more to help our population be ready for the challenges of college. It's affected a lot of the ways that I teach, some of the skills that we try to teach, but it's also one of the reasons I was so enthusiastic about being part of this SLAM project. Because I've seen firsthand, not just with him, but with so many of our other students, what those remedial classes end up doing to our students and how difficult it makes that very first year. One of the biggest overall goals of Math 109 is just for students to be able to look at things critically, look at research critically, look at data critically. This is something that my students at the very beginning of the semester had no idea how to do. Dr. Webster brought in some crazy statistics, and all of them bought it. They were like, yeah, sure, why not? And that was one of the things we're like, no, you got to look at this critically. By the end of the class, we had come in to do a survey about the SLAM project with the students, and donuts were brought to them that morning, like they often were. But a couple of the students instantly said, "Wait a second, you're giving us donuts. Won't this make our results of our survey biased because you just put us all in a good mood?" And that was like exactly. It was one of those eye-opening moments. Is like, yes, the students got it. They really did get one of our goals of just being critical with research and data. So I was one of those kids in high school that everyone hated. I never cracked open a book and I had A's and B's in every classes. Never had to study, never had to take notes. Well, when I went to college, I found out very quickly that didn't work. In fact, I ended up flunking out of University of Oklahoma by the end of my second year. It took me a couple of years after that to get my stuff together, to realize that I didn't want to work construction or the rest of my life. And by that time I was an adult on my own in my mid-20s, having to retake classes through community colleges and part-times while I worked full-time. So I ended up not graduating until 2005 when I graduated high school in 1993. There's a 12-year gap. So that was one of my my biggest challenge is that I just wasn't challenged in high school, so I didn't learn how to be a college student. This is something that I didn't want to see my students go through, this same process, because I haven't seen too many of my other past students that dropped out that were actually able to come back and get through it like I did. It's inspired a lot of the ways that I teach. I don't know if it inspired me to be a teacher, but some of the things I stress in my classes, that was inspired. It's, if you come into any of my classes, not just the SLAM statistics class, but it's not just about the numbers. It's not just, can you come up with a solution? Because that's only part of it. So learning how to be a student, learning how to take notes, learning how to struggle and get through that struggle, that's what it's inspired with my teaching. And those are some of the same things that just went hand in hand with this SLAM class. So after being here for 9 years, I don't think I could teach anywhere else. It is definitely a hard place to teach, but the good days I think are so much better and more rewarding than you would see at any other school. So I can't imagine myself, teaching at like a school where I grew up, or it just wouldn't be the same. Come and visit my class. Come and look at the data from my class. Come and talk to my students. If you look at our data, these students took the exact same test, had the exact same syllabus, exact same grading scales that they do at the Cal State systems, and we beat the average pass rate the very first year we did it. Come and talk to my students. Come and try to bring in some bogus information and see if you get it past them. I would just like to say first, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. It's been a great program. I know these students are going to have a huge benefit. I know the likelihood of these students succeeding in college and bettering their own lives it's going to be huge. I mean, like I said, I can't tell you how many students I've had drop out in this first year, and knowing these students aren't going to have all those same challenges because of this, and because of the generosity of the foundations. It's great. Just thank you.